for Trump to continue to say he won the 2020 election.
So what? Are you saying that he can alter the past by saying
no?
What he
I'm
thinks?
giving you an example of what we're talking about. And so when
I'm sorry, Bakari, your party just engaged in the biggest cover-up in modern American political history on Joe Biden. It's all coming out. We all now know that every Democrat knew it, and you and everybody else came on TV and lied about this man's condition. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Well, the Biden cover-up.
The pre-inauguration rally just wrapped up, and wow. CNN and MSNBC are absolutely losing it. Total meltdown mode, but thankfully, over at CNN, Scott Jennings is holding it down. He's there to fact-check the nonsense and call them out when they get out of line. Let's see what happened and let me know what you think afterward.
It's the worst thing we've seen in this country in your or my lifetime.
First of all,
in political misinformation.
That is hyperbolic. And
it is not.
It's not only hyperbolic, but it's actually incorrect. And yes, I mean, I wish I hadn't been around the president. I wish I would have known that he was not in the condition that he was.
Do you not have a television and eyes and ears?
First of all, I didn't see it until the debate.
We work on TV. He's on TV all the time.
But you also just want to sit here and say that is the biggest of misinformation we've seen, the biggest cover-up, the most hyperbolic and sensationalized incident that we've had in American political history in you and ours generation or lifetime. When you sat here on January 6th and did not believe that the person right there should be president of the United States or run again in his human lifetime.
It was a terrible day. It was a terrible day.
So we're going to sensationalize this because I can actually sit here honestly and say that whoever covered up his infirmity in the White House, whether or not he is going downhill fast or taking pills for whatever it is, early onset Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever Joe Biden's going through, people who knew about it and covered it up, they should be able to have their day and have their consequences and accountability.
They just had it on election day.
All I'm asking you for is that same, because 140 officers were injured. People were killed that day on January 6th. So for you to sit here and say that is the biggest cover-up, I would simply say that people saw with their own eyes people storming the Capitol, and that as well is an issue that this president is going to usher in and wipe away.
Here's what I lived through. 4 years of Trump, then I lived through January 6th, then I lived through 4 years of Biden, and me and tens of millions of Americans processed all of it and went running back to Donald Trump because you cannot put the same people back in charge who just ran the country off into the ditch.
What you just said outside of the ditch part is actually a fact. But if you're going to sit here and minimize
it, we'll get out of it tomorrow.
That's fine, whatever. But if you're going to minimize January 6th, right?
I'm not minimizing it, but I have to take it in with everything else I know.
No, I'm saying we were talking about disinformation and misinformation, and you accused me and everybody else of a cover-up when you sat here and minimalized January 6th.
All
I'm saying is, listen.
I'm saying it happened, and
my bad. I didn't mean to touch you, Scott. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
You're doing it again. Let me tell the viewers something about these two. They actually really like each other, and then during the commercial break, they're chatting, they're talking about the football game. But I think that was a really important conversation because obviously you have very different.
A part of it. I mean, if Scott went here, it would have been better.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up on that point. Bakari Sal.
Let's take a second to talk about why this issue matters. It's not just about people crossing the border, it's about the ripple effect it creates. Think about it. When businesses hire undocumented workers for cheaper wages, it undercuts legal workers and drives down opportunities. It's not fair to the citizens or the immigrants who are trying to do things the right way. At the same time, we've got to ask why these businesses are even allowed to get away with this. If there were stricter penalties in place, they'd probably stop. So while the spotlight is often on those crossing the border, we can't ignore the role employers play in fueling the issue.
Scott Jennings, thanks so much. Caitlin, back to you with the rally.
Guys, if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, it really goes a long way to help me out. And also, if this is not your first time here and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this will be the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to it.
What individuals are you rounding up that have not committed a crime?
Anybody who came here illegally, by definition, is a criminal. They did break our laws. Doesn't mean they're violent, but it does mean they're a criminal. B, you cannot let the perfect be the enemy of the good here. And the good is doing what I think 88% of people in the New York Times poll said they wanted, which was mass deportations of illegal alien criminals out of this country. It's not really controversial what they're proposing to do. It's got widespread bipartisan support. When you start trying to pick out individual situations, what about this, what about this? What Holman has said, and what I think is true, is you're just sending a signal that, well, we're going to continue to allow some of it. Some of it's going to be okay. And what he has said and what he campaigned on is that none of it is okay. That we're going to have a legal immigration system, that we're going to know who's coming here. We're going to know why they're coming here. We're not going to continue to send a signal to the world, just get here and we'll figure it out and you'll probably be fine. That's why we're in the mess we're in right now. That's why millions of people came here over the last 4 years, and it ends beginning tomorrow. And I will tell you, if these blue cities and blue states and some of these local Democrats try to interfere, stop it, not cooperate, I think their citizens, their constituents are going to punish them politically, because people who live in these cities are being hit the hardest. New York, Chicago, they want a solution.
When you're talking about the supply chains that are no longer running as smoothly, when you're talking about individuals who do those menial jobs that no one else wants to do.
Is the American economy completely and totally underpinned by murderers and rapists? That is just, they're going after the violent population. They're going after the people who have existing deportation orders. And I don't remember any breakdown in American supply chains under President Obama, who correctly deported millions of people. We've done this before.
Scott, I call BS, because we just started this conversation by saying that everyone agrees that you should deport those individuals.
I know, and now you're saying the fruit's going to rot.
That's not what. But those, Scott, let's have a little bit of.
Now here's the thing that gets me. People want to make this about race or try to guilt others into silence, but that's just a distraction. The real conversation is about enforcing the law equally and making sure the system is fair for everyone. It's crazy to think that some businesses openly bypass the rules because they know they'll face little to no consequences. Why aren't we holding them accountable? If we start focusing on the root of the problem instead of pointing fingers at each other, we might actually get somewhere. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Political deafness here for the audience, and not be that intellectually dishonest, because I'm not talking about those people.
We want and you lost, and we're going to do it.
I'm not talking about those people. So yeah, I mean, deport all these brown people you want, but at the end of the day, this is going to have a tangible effect.
Reduce this to a racial conversation. You want to talk about being dishonest? It has everything to do with breaking laws or not breaking laws. And are you going to have a chief executive who enforces a law or who doesn't? We haven't had one who wants to enforce the law, and now we do, and that's what people voted for. How many people came into this country over the last 4 years? Millions upon millions. We are different today than we were 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 20. We have never faced a crisis like this, and it's not just people coming here. It's what happens when they get here. We have illegal immigrants in this country who have committed heinous, violent crimes. That's why the Congress is passing the Laken Riley Act.
No,
these are terrible stories, and are we going to allow it?
There's no question.
Democrats are not contesting that.
You keep
they contested it for the entire election. They claimed the border was fine.
The irony, if we can't recognize that, if we can't have a humane system to recognize that, then fundamentally we're going to have a problem.
Come here legally, and you'll be fine. Come here illegally, and you won't be. And that has to be the message. The message of the Democratic Party for the last 4 years was just come here and do whatever you want. And that ends Monday. And if you look at the New York Times poll from this weekend, this is not controversial. This is supported by Democrats, Republicans. People want action. And I think what you're going to see with the executive orders tomorrow is Trump not saying, well, we're going to get to it later. We're going to say, no, we start today. That's what's happening. Tomorrow, I expect a very direct and workmanlike speech from Donald Trump. I think he's got a real chance to talk to the American people directly in non-sweeping and non-flowery terms about the problems we face and what he can do about it at this moment. I mean, he's obviously going to sign a couple of hundred executive orders tomorrow, and they all have a purpose. And so today, I think it's enthusiasm and optimism and gratitude, and tomorrow we're hitting the ground running and we're getting America back on track. It's going to be restoring confidence, I think, in America is the theme of the speech.
People like to make the immigration debate about race, but it's really just about following the law. Immigration laws are there for a reason, to keep things fair and organized. Every country has the right to protect its borders, and this isn't about targeting any group. It's about keeping things in check. Sure, some people need asylum because they're in tough situations, and that's real. But let's be honest, most are coming here for better opportunities, which is understandable. The problem is that doing it illegally causes a lot of issues for everyone. One big problem nobody talks about enough is employers. Some businesses hire undocumented workers for cheap labor, and that takes away opportunities from citizens and people who came here legally. To fix this, businesses need to be held accountable. If companies faced bigger penalties for hiring undocumented workers, they'd probably think twice about it. It would also help make the system fairer for everyone. At the end of the day, it's about creating a system that works, one that makes legal pathways easier while tackling the reasons people cross illegally in the first place. It's a tricky issue, but we can figure it out with real solutions. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.